There's some Black women grant writers that are more like social media famous. And I feel like they were either not responding to me or when I was asking for help, they were like lowballing me. Like, yeah, you can charge 25 an hour or you can charge 30 an hour. And that's like, you know my skill. That's a little crazy.
Welcome to Grant CEO, the podcast for experienced grant writers ready to stop doing all the work and start leading like CEOs. I'm your host, Deronda Harrison, founder and CEO at June 1st Firm and creator of the 5P Grant CEO framework. Each week, we dive into the shifts in power, position, pull, pricing, and people that will help you build a business that hasn't created another job for you. Ready to step back and trust your team to deliver? I sure hope so. Go from grant writer to grant CEO. Let's get into it. Just 2 years ago, Victoria didn't even consider herself a grant writer. Today, she leads a team of 7, supports 12 charter schools, and just secured a nearly $1 million federal grant for one of her clients. In this episode, we're exploring how focusing on pull, attracting her ideal clients, and pricing, packaging her services by charging more than $30 an hour, transformed her and her business. So welcome, Victoria Lamar.
Thank you.
Welcome. Glad you're here for our Grant CEO podcast. So I'm just going to dive right in. When you first reached out, what was happening in your business?
At the time, I was definitely thinking, I don't know what I'm doing and I need some help. Because at the time, like, I wasn't really a grant writer yet, or at least I didn't consider myself a grant writer. The opportunity had kind of came to me to become a grant writer, and I felt like I didn't really have anybody in my corner who was a grant writer or who I could ask questions about grant writing.
And so when you said the opportunity came to you, what did that look like? Did somebody was like, hey, you're really good at doing, I know you write scholarships or won scholarships. Did they come to you because you could write really well and ask them to apply for grants? What was that opportunity?
Yeah, so I had a mentor, or I have a mentor. His name is Dexter Davis, and he was on the board of a charter school called Liberty STEAM Charter School. And he told the executive director that he knew a grant writer. And that was me. I was just like, okay, I have this opportunity. I need to create a proposal so I can show up as a grant writer. Because, yes, to your point, I did have transferable skills from securing 3 million in scholarships to be able to now secure funding for organizations.
I know you said no one in your corner did grant writing or that you knew of that did grant writing. What made you reach out or what made you trust yourself enough to get help?
My initial thing was like, I was looking for Black grant writers, like Black women grant writers initially. And I would like DM a few people. You know, there's some Black women grant writers that are more like social media famous. And I feel like they were either not responding to me or when I was asking for help, they were like lowballing me. Like, yeah, you can charge 25 an hour or you can charge
Oh, wow.
30 an hour. And that's like, you know my skill. That's a little crazy. So I think seeing that you had like a well-structured program, I think maybe you're on a panel or something, like, I don't even know. But I know when I was able to like schedule the consultation and learn more and you had a specific offering for exactly what I needed, I feel like it was like a direct alignment.
That's good. Yeah, I didn't know about the reaching out to the other grant writers, so that's good to know. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for you. Or fortunately for us, it didn't because we got to work together. And I didn't like the lowballing. 25 an hour is ridiculous. So I'm glad you knew that about yourself because you would be surprised some grant writers accept that rate. So what's something that shifted for you during our work together? A decision, a mindset, a process that made a real difference? Again, if you think back a few years ago to even us talking over these last few months, I know you recently came to the community and presented a webinar. What are some things that you can think back and you know this has shifted my mindset?
I think for me, the main advantage for me at that time was I just needed the validation that I knew what I was doing. I think that's the biggest thing. So it's like, we definitely like went over like the easy grants that clients can win and how to structure it. I feel like I'm good at systems. Like a lot of the systems I have for my grant writing business, I'm doing it the same for my scholarship business. But what I didn't have was that person that's like, you know what you're doing, or it's okay, or, especially in the beginning when it takes time to get your first wins.
It does.
And so it's like, as a new grant writer, first client, no historic wins with that client. And then also my niche started to be organizations who haven't secured their first grant ever, which is a very harder niche. But to me, I really like that niche. So yeah, it was more so just like the validity of my own knowledge. And I really needed your validation.
Oh, good. I love that you found that niche of people coming to you. And you also write for nonprofits and small business. So that's a specialty in itself.
Yes.
What is one of the main things you notice the difference? This is just me asking out of curiosity because I mainly work with nonprofits. Curious as to the difference between 501c3 versus a small business.
Honestly, I would say the main difference is, I guess, like story alignment. I feel like a lot of the social impact for profits, the story can change a lot. Versus, I feel like a lot of our nonprofits, they're anchored in their mission, they're anchored in their programs, they're anchored in the way they provide support. And so it can be like pros and cons to both, because sometimes you can be too anchored that you don't expand. And it's a lot of grants out here where like you need to kind of do something new.
Exactly.
There's only a few grants that are just going to cover your existing operations, but clients that aren't willing to have a sports program and they're going to give you $150,000 and you can kind of stretch that around administrative costs and things like that, then it's really hard. It's really hard to work with those clients. So I think those are like the main differences, and it's a sweet thing because my for-profits, it's easy for me to help them to see like, hey, like we can align to this and let's create this program. Let's do it. It's easier for them to like maneuver faster.
They are. I was going to say, you find them to be a little bit more flexible?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. How would you describe the transformation you've experienced since then to now? So again, we worked together a few years ago. We interacted again with you coming on board to present a recent webinar to the community. You do really great in marketing. How would you describe the transformation of your business when you were just getting started, wanting to validate that you know what you're doing, to now? Would you say it's been just better business person, even having your scholarship business as far as your grant writing business? Would you say that's been being a better business owner in your grant writing business, your confidence, how you show up as a CEO? When you think of then versus now, what's that biggest internal shift?
Yeah, I would say that, internal shift, definitely like way more confident. And securing grants, I've definitely had like probably over 20 clients since we've met. And I have my consistent retainer clients, which is like really great. And I've solidified my niche as charter schools.
Yay.
Yeah, we secure over 12 charter schools currently, which is really great.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I would say also just pricing has been really good. I recently won my first federal grant. So I did a charter school growth planning CSP grant that I did from scratch in literally 2 weeks. And even though I definitely underpriced myself, I mean, like, I definitely got like around 8 bands.
Yeah.
But like, I could have got way more, but it was my first time. Like, even stuff like that is like being able to like confidently like make the decision, like, hey, like, okay, I know I'm probably not charging the best. I also have never done this before. I also kind of really want the experience. All those things, like, you're really juggling as a new entrepreneur, and then also someone that is young and people are willing to let me try. I think that's like the craziest thing, because they're consistently paying even as I am trying and like bettering myself. So I think that's like the biggest thing. And then also, I do have an amazing grant writer on my team.
That's awesome.
Yes. And it took me a few hires, but like she is amazing. And that has like really helped me be able to grow and like get more clients, because for some time I really wasn't, even now, like I don't do client outreach for securing grants just because I don't have to right now. But I think having her and then hopefully being able to have another her, I feel like I would be more comfortable like really doing more outreach to get more clients.
Yes, a great team member is priceless. What was your intake on getting her? I know you said you went through some other grant writers that may not have been a good fit. So did you actually put out a job announcement? Did you just ask people in your network? How did you find her, or how did she find you?
Yes, I put a job announcement out on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went through the process. I think everybody went through 3 rounds of in total, we had 3 rounds of interviews, and I decided not to do round 1. So I didn't do round 1. I had someone else do round 1, and then I jumped in. That person gave me their top
Mhm.
5. I interviewed them, then did another one. So I was really trying to be, like, way more intentional about this hire. This hire was really important. Like, it was even more important that they were a good culture fit than anything.
Yes, so important.
I mean, if you're working for me as a grant writer, you're working across all my clients. So you can't say, "Oh, I only want to do this client." Like, that's not how it's going to work. So it's like, okay, if I hire you, are you going to be telling me no? Are you going to do the work? Most grant writers don't look like me
Mhm.
at all. So that's already a shift in itself of identifying, is this something I feel like
Yes.
having to deal with another dynamic. And so I'm still learning how to hire, but I feel like I did a really great job with hiring who I have currently.
That's good. I want to go back to when you talked about winning your first federal grant, that CSP grant, which is not an easy application, very time consuming. So happy to hear you win that. What informed your work for that? Did you just go through that proposal, reading those questions? Do you think your client, even though you hadn't written it before, had they gone after it before, maybe just never won? How did you prepare for that?
I actually really had very little time.
You had very little time.
So they have a network of multiple schools. They had one in for like 2 other schools, but it was completely different. It was like a whole different type of thing. Honestly, I definitely leaned on ChatGPT to help me with outlines, to help me with structure, to help me even like the appendix. There's so many things that has to be right or you get points off. And even like my first draft and my last draft was completely different. Like how I was heading things up, how the table of contents worked.
It worked. It worked. You won.
It worked, and we won around 980,000 for that specifically. But yes, I think for me, like being able to work fast, being able to use my resources, and then also a lot of times my clients don't give me information that I need.
Mhm.
They just don't. So it's not like I'm sending them 1,000 emails because she made it very clear. I know you in crunch time. I'm in crunch time too.
I ain't got time for this. Yeah.
I don't have time. And so I think a lot of it is like, again, something you just learn as a grant writer is like, you just have to trust your own understanding, be confident in it. And then at that final report, then you can review, and then I have that day to just do all the edits. But the back and forth, you don't get nothing done.
Yeah.
You really don't. So it was a lot to learn from that experience. And I would do it all over again for sure.
That's good. I know they're so happy they have you. They're definitely not going to let you go now. So you are
I should be locked in for at least
locked in.
years.
Yeah, at least 5, at least minimum. Yeah. So that's awesome. That's so exciting. I'm happy.
Thank you.
So happy to hear that. Quick break for something important. If you're listening to this, you've already done the hardest part. You've built your grant writing business. You've landed clients. You secured grants. You maybe even hit those 10K, 15K months everyone talks about. But the truth, it doesn't feel the way you thought it would. You expected more time, more profit, more balance, and instead, you're working more than ever. You're juggling everything and wondering what actually needs to change. Here's the answer. What got you here won't get you into the Grant CEO seat. So if you're asking yourself, where do I start? I've got your next step. Go to grantceo.com and take my Grant CEO assessment. This isn't one of those cute personality quizzes. This is a diagnostic tool I created to assess your grant writing business across the 5 Ps that every grant writer needs to thrive. You'll walk away knowing exactly where you stand, where the gaps are, and what to focus on next to go from overworked grant writer to a confident, profitable grant CEO. So head to grantceo.com, answer the questions, get your report, and start building the sustainable business you deserve. Links in the show notes for more information. Now back to the episode. Going back to coaching, you kind of touched on some of this, but what felt like heavy for you, maybe a burden, maybe even confusing for you that you feel like through the process, through coaching, through getting through that other side, I believe we worked together for about 3 or 4 months, that you felt that relief?
I would say pricing and then also cadence with clients. Like figuring out that cadence, figuring out, okay, are you meeting with them by month, bi-weekly? How many grants are you going to submit? I think for me, like the way I do my proposals, I make them a little vague. They are a little vague. There's nothing that says like we're submitting minimum 3 this month or minimum 5 or even minimum 1.
Yeah, that's what I teach.
Yes, exactly. So I do like minimum hourly, weekly in my retainer. And usually as a grant writer, you probably going over that.
You're going to surpass it, yeah.
So I just do a minimum number. No one has ever questioned the validity of hours, ever checked any hours, anything like that. But yeah, that's like a big thing that I've learned.
Yeah, that's good. I was going to ask you about cadence. Even this is something for me, I'm still like, depending on the client, meeting every week, meeting every other week, meeting once a month. Sometimes once a month doesn't feel like enough, and I feel like we have to check in a little bit more. Have you figured out that cadence with meeting with your clients to get what you need, or do you find it's different per client? What have you experienced?
Yeah, so standard is biweekly in the beginning. Biweekly is in the beginning, and I don't like to do more in the biweekly. And I would rather do less than more. And then I have some clients that we don't meet at all. Like my longest tier clients, we've been together for 3+ years. They just trust whatever I write at this point. And so that has been like what I really like. And I think also like, especially working with a lot of clients in education, they don't want to look at an email with a lot of points and questions. So it's like I try to be really impactful in our meetings. Like I always have like, these are the grants we're working on. I always have our grant proposal development. So I already identify this is how much we want to apply for. This is what we can fund with this funding. And then those calls are meant for us to brainstorm, identify budget, and identify what's going to be included in the budget. And so if I have that for every grant biweekly, that's all my team needs to be able to write.
That's good.
That's what I've done, and I've had to sharpen and develop our internal processes. So I'm prepared when I'm meeting with them and we have all the information. Because also, there's some times where you're working with a client and maybe you didn't do a lot between the previous meeting and this meeting. And so always having that meet of something that we can work on and that's valuable to me, it allows me not to be anxious when it comes to those meetings. You know how it is.
Yeah. So even before you get the client, how you're managing them, going back to like a client that reaches out, says, we're potentially interested in working with you. We're impressed with your background. Send us writing samples on X, Y, Z. How have you responded to that, or what have you done in those situations?
Yeah. No one has asked for a writing sample outside of the job that I'm applying for.
Okay.
Unless it's a full-time job. If it's a full-time job, I get it. Before working with you, I didn't have a client, I don't think. Or I was just starting with a new client and I didn't know what to charge. I think now how it is like someone reaches out, I have a meeting with them, I learn, now that it's mostly charter schools, okay, how many schools? What grades? Do you have multiple sites? And I take that into consideration and then I send them over a proposal. But usually initially on that call, they want to know like how much. So I'll say, yeah, our retainers start at $32.50 a month. But that depends on X, Y, and Z. And so I send them the proposal and then I let them know that payment has to be received before day one. And then after I get that payment, then I let them know I'll send them a payment schedule and payment is due same day every month consistently. And so, yeah, that's how I've been doing it right now. Honestly, everything has been referrals. So all these charter schools have been like referrals of the other charter schools currently.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about charter schools. How are they reaching out to you? What made you identify charter schools as your niche? I know we talked about it when we were working together a lot. I said that keeps coming up for you. And it sounds like an area of expertise, and it kind of aligns with your other business with scholarships and writing scholarships. What made you land on charter schools?
My best clients just keep being charter schools. I think, honestly, like my first client was a charter school, so I got confident with that. Even a lot of the schools that we partner with on Secure and Degree side, like KIT, that's the charter school. I love working with charter school. I love their budget structure. I love knowing that they have a budget to pay me. Like, there's never a question, am I going to get paid? Like, I know you guys have the earmarked budget for me. And then also, I really like the diversity of grants. I feel like, for example, like, I had someone came to me and they wanted funding for like land and like forestry and things like that. How slim of a number is that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even like housing, you do housing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. I can't even imagine. And so I feel like with education, it's kind of a cheat code for me because it's just, okay, we can do STEM, we can do sports, we can do cafeteria, we can do arts, we can do design,
So many opportunities.
yoga. I can apply for everything. And so even though sometimes I feel like there's droughts in the grant opportunities sometimes, I still can find something, to keep us busy. So I think it's been easier for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. In education, although one of the larger industries, I always say, is probably the most competitive because you have the most organizations in education. But again, so many opportunities. And as we wrap up, I want to just ask you, what would you tell a grant writer who's sitting in the same place you were a few years ago? What would you tell them today?
Yes, I think I would tell them to, one, you don't have to know it all. You don't have to know it all. Also, you'll learn your work over time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is. Like, there's a lot of people, especially my clients, like, they definitely see my worth. They know my worth. They most likely know I'm not charging my worth, but I think it's still beautiful. It's still beautiful because it's a great learning opportunity for me. And I feel like it's met with so much like safety from my clients because they see me as like, I'm learning, I'm doing my best, I'm showing up, and I'm professional. Like, I try to be as professional as possible. And that really helps. And I'm also accountable. So if something didn't go right, if I miss something, if I might have sent something in wrong and it looked crazy, they also gonna let me know. And that's something that I have to also be like, okay, Victoria, they're calling you, answer the phone. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. And so those are just learning opportunities. So yeah, definitely I would say like it's okay to do it scared. It's okay to not know, but just don't not know for long. You gotta catch on, you gotta know your worth, you gotta charge your price. And you gotta consistently be increasing your price. I think that's the biggest thing. As you're learning more, your prices really have to reflect that because that's how people are going to truly value you.
So good. I'm so glad you talked about pricing and increasing your pricing. And when I asked you about charter schools, one of your reasons for selecting them is because they have money set aside. They have the budget to pay a grant writer. You'll be surprised how many consultants, it's like, I want to help these certain specific nonprofits, but they don't have money and they're struggling. And that's okay if you have a business that's bringing in consistent revenue and that's your pro bono work that you do once or twice a year. But to build your business around that is not sustainable. So I'm glad you were smart enough to know. I am glad that you were smart enough to know to work with a niche, a specialty, whatever you want to call it, for someone that can pay you so that you can pay your bills.
I know, because it's expensive. It really is.
Yeah, it's just a different world out here. So that's so good. And the final question, what does life and business look like for you now? What are some of the new challenges that you're facing? Like back then, it was just like validation, just being a grant writer, being around grant writer that knew what they were doing, building your business. So those were like your challenges. And today, I would say, what are your new challenges? And then we can end with your wins.
Yeah. So I guess to start is, what is business like now? So business now is really great. I am full-time entrepreneuring, running securing degrees and securing grants. I also just
Congratulations.
Thank you. Also, just relaunched our nonprofit, the Victoria Miracle Foundation, and we just got our first grant, a 40K grant.
Oh, okay.
For that, yeah. So I'm super excited. We have 2 flagship programs. I'm super excited to continue building those things out there. But yeah, I feel like for the organizations, really this year, a lot of my goals were personal goals, truthfully, such as eating 3 times a day, working out 4 or 5 times a week, biweekly therapy, biweekly dietitian appointments. And so really focusing on myself, I've seen how much it allowed me to show up more in my business. So I've grown my business. Like my team, we're a team of 7. So I have 7 individuals supporting me day to day, which has been like really helpful for my personal growth and business growth. And then also just really being in the community. So like this year was the first time I was able to visit my first client,
Oh, nice.
Liberty Charter School. So he flew me out there. I was able to see the schools that I've helped be built for them and the curriculum and the students and the cafeteria. Like it was so beautiful. And so this year, how business is now is just really structured around community and using our community to continue to elevate as well as support more people around. I would say some of the biggest challenges right now in my business is, so on the secure and degree side, we just launched our own proprietary platform. So I've automated over 80% of securing degrees. And so now the challenge is, okay, how can we do that for securing grants? And when do I want to do that for securing grants?
That's good.
So like right now, like, we're still using a lot of third-party platforms. And I feel like with grant writing, like you just need a nice little tracker. You don't really need too much.
Yeah, I don't use a lot.
You need your databases, your tracker, and you're really good to go. So I'm just really trying to figure out that part. I also want to be able to support more social enterprises and like for-profit businesses like securing degrees. And so I think that's where the technology is going to come in place. But as you know, some of the challenges that lie with that is like a lot of the small business grants are coming and going every single day. Like literally TI could say, I want to have a small business grant today and it's closed 2 days from now. Really like keeping up with it, the consistency with the small business grants are way like more rare than the nonprofits where we know Foot Locker going to be again this year. So that's like one of the biggest challenges on like the support side when it comes to businesses.
Yeah, business people come, small business grants, I send them to you because just trying to keep my expertise. So I'm glad you said that. But yeah, this was good. Thank you so much, Victoria, for your time. This was so great talking to you and chatting with you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Continue to see your business grow. Thanks for your time.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Grant CEO. Please take a moment to write down your Grant CEO move of the week. One action that will move your business forward in either power, position, pull, pricing, or people. And if what you desire is mentorship and support, visit our website at grantceo.com. There you can also learn more about the program. Keep leading, keep growing, and remember, your expertise deserves to be valued. I'll see you in the next episode.